Welcome to the Chronicles of a Cheating Wife channel. A new story every day. Don't forget to subscribe. It's none of your business. Her words ring out in the steam-slicked bathroom, biting through the sound of running water. I stand at the threshold, chest tight, mouth suddenly dry, every cell of my body awake. There's that hiss, sharp, insistent, of the shower she turned on without me. She's inside, behind the foggy glass door. My hand hovers over the handle, but I don't open it. Not yet, because the way she just said that, cold, clipped, sends a shrill spike of alarm right through my skull. I can't see her face clearly through the condensation, but I sense it. Defiance, that tension in her voice. "It's none of your business," she repeats, this time in English, as if to solidify the distance. My fingers clench. My muscles feel raw, shoulders braced. The overhead light flickers slightly, or maybe it's just my vision. I blink. My heartbeat thrums in my ears. I swallow once, twice, forcing the saliva down. "It isn't my business," I echo. Quiet, but with a bare tremor. My voice reverberates in the tiled bathroom, strangely hollow. Then I catch a glimpse of her silhouette, slim waist, arms folded across her chest. Water streams over her hair, snaking down the curve of her neck. My wife, Laura. But at this moment, I can't recognize that shape behind the glass. I don't step forward. I just breathe. Another wave of steam rolls through the open doorway, enveloping me. My shirt clings to the sweat under my arms. The air is stifling. Moments earlier, I'd found her phone lying face down on the kitchen counter. A single message glowed on the lock screen, the text preview enough to shoot acid through my veins. "Miss you." Last night was unbelievable. I confronted her with it. She took the phone from my hand, walked into the bathroom, stripped off her clothes, turned on the shower, and shut the door. No rush of panic, no apology. Then came that line, "Eto ni tuyo delo." I open my mouth to speak, but my throat constricts. I press my palm lightly to the door. Through the rising condensation, I see her reach for the shampoo, tilt her head back. I hear the water pattering against her skin, the rivulets swirling around the drain. I clench my jaw. The pain flares in my shoulders and creeps across my upper back, maybe residual tension from that crash we had a few days ago. My body never fully recovered from the whiplash. A memory tears across my mind, the screech of tires, the jarring impact, the airbags deploying with a thud that knocked the wind out of me. And her panicked scream, "My dear, are you okay?" She'd used those words. My dear. But even then, something about her voice didn't sound like it was meant for me. Now here we stand. The water pounding, my adrenaline spiking. The tension locked in my spine. She won't let me in. She says it's not my business. I exhale, slow, trying to calm the anger that's building in my chest. My breath comes out as a low hiss. The overhead light in the hall flickers again, or maybe my eyes twitch with rage. I twist the doorknob just enough for the door to crack open. Steam billows out. The glass partition is hazed, but I can see her body in the corner of my eye. Water droplets cascade along her arms, sliding over her hips. Her posture is rigid, shoulders pulled back. She's not trembling. She's not weeping. She's braced with a stubborn composure that ignites a wave of something. Jealousy, fury, deep inside me. The kind that roars for me to demand answers, to break down the barrier. But I'm not the type to fling open the door and drag her out. Not physically, at least. So I stand there, swallowing my rage like a bitter pill. I'm not letting it vanish. Oh no. I'm storing it, tucking it behind my ribs, letting it feed me from the inside. My voice, when it comes out, is strangled with forced control. Who is he? No answer. She's just letting the shower run over her, arms crossed, face turned away. I can't see her eyes, but I can guess they're narrowed in that infuriating mixture of shame and defiance. I step closer, ignoring the warmth of the steam on my face, the dampness seeping into my shirt. My leg twinges, a leftover ache from the crash. but I force my way forward. Tell me, I say, voice scraping the back of my throat. The water splatters, loud enough to drown out the subtle quiver I feel deep in my chest. Tell me, Laura. She mutters something I can't quite catch, moves her head to rinse out the shampoo. My fists tighten. The overhead fan hums. Another wave of condensation hits me. Her next words slice through the fog. Jake. That's all she says. A single name. The final piece that unlocks the door to my darkest suspicions. Jake. The IT consultant she'd mentioned in passing. Jake, the exciting, high-energy risk-taker who swings by from Chicago. Jake, with the easy grin and the restless swagger. I'd seen him once, outside her office building, handing her a coffee as they chatted. The tension inside my skull ratchets up a notch. She doesn't elaborate. She doesn't need to. I close my eyes, exhale through my nostrils. At last, she tipped her face toward me, meeting my gaze through the blurred glass. There's no apology there, just a cold, battered pride, as if to say, you wanted the truth. Now you've got it. I keep my voice low, measured, as if speaking for the record. How long? She rubs conditioner into her hair, doesn't answer immediately. My shoulders tremble from the effort of staying calm. My heart is hammering so hard it's messing with my balance. Finally, she lifts one hand and drags it down her face, wiping the water from her eyes. A few months. Maybe more, she finally replies. She's breathing heavily. It's not like we planned it. It just happened. Every muscle in my body spasms with raw disbelief, though the logical side of my brain says, you knew, John. You knew something was off. The sudden phone calls at odd hours. The perfumed shirts that she claimed still smelled like a store sample. The late nights spent at business dinners. My breath comes in shallow bursts now, and my head's pounding. You, I choke on the words. You never even tried to hide it from me, did you? She huffs, almost a laugh. I did, but not enough, I guess. I press my hand to the door, letting the steam scald my skin. Why, Laura? She looks away, turning under the water. Don't ask that. Don't make me spell it out. I swallow a wave of nausea. My throat hurts. My entire body feels like it's vibrating. The tightness in my chest is reminiscent of the moment that airbags slammed into me at the intersection, bruising me, shocking me. Only this time, there's no recourse, no quick fix, no paramedics. Just a final, stinging confirmation. My wife has been lying to me, creeping behind my back, feeding herself to another man. I step back from the bathroom, shutting the door quietly. The handle is cold beneath my fingers, a stark contrast to the humid air swirling around me. I feel my pulse in my temples, a deep pounding ache that resonates with the rest of my battered body. In the bedroom, the covers are half pulled off the mattress. I catch a faint scent that's not mine. My teeth grit. I walk over to the dresser, snatch my phone, and stare at the reflection in the dark screen. My expression is coiled, eyes reddened. A million thoughts swirl, but one keeps surfacing. She was with him, right here. In my bed. Possibly. Or maybe they used a hotel. Does it matter? The bed is ours. The sheets are ours, and yet something about them feels tainted, foreign. My chest heaves. I'm not a man prone to violent outbursts. I've never struck her, never thrown a punch in anger. But right now, I want to break something. I want to slam my fists into the mirror until it shatters. My body is screaming for release. The physical pain from the crash was bad enough. Now, my soul feels shredded. Betrayal slices deeper than any seatbelt bruise. I cross the room. Each step stabs at the tension in my legs. I'm breathing heavily, controlling the urge to erupt. My voice trembles as I speak into the emptiness, as if documenting everything for a judge who can't see the scene. My name is John Davis. I found out today that my wife has been with another man for months. She's in the shower right now. She told me it's none of my business. Hearing the words out loud makes them more real. I grit my teeth, push out a hiss of air. The overhead fan in the bathroom shuts off. The water squeaks to a halt. My scalp prickles in expectation of her stepping out. My mouth goes dry all over again. She emerges minutes later, wrapped in a towel, hair dripping on the hardwood floor. There's no apology in her eyes, just wariness. She glances at me, then at the door, as if deciding whether to slip past and avoid conversation. I block the threshold. She sighs. I have to get dressed. I don't move. We're not done talking. She presses her lips together, grips the towel around her. A droplet runs from her temple, tracing her jaw. You really want to do this now? Yes. My voice is a flat monotone, but inside, I'm roiling. She shakes her head. Fine, John. I'll answer whatever you want, but it won't change anything. I stand there, fists at my sides. I think about the time she used to call me, my dear, that sweet lilt in her voice. Then about how I heard her use that exact same term during the crash, as if forgetting who she was talking to. And now I realize she was used to calling him that, not me. You had him in our lives. I begin, forcing my tone to remain level. You brought him into your space, mentally, physically. You lied to me. Told me you were at dinners or marketing conferences. Meanwhile, you were off with him. She closes her eyes, as if pained by every word. John, I'm sorry you're hurt. Save it. I can't bear the half-baked sympathy in her voice. Let me guess. Jake's exciting fun. He's got a bright future. And what am I to you? Some old battered husband with a job that's not always stable. I bet you told him how unhappy you've been. She flinches. I never told him that. But you implied it. I growl, pressing forward. My left arm throbs with remembered pain from the crash. Did you, or did you not, feed him lines about how your husband isn't fulfilling you? That you need more spark in your life. That your marriage is stifling. She exhales. John, it's complicated. It's not. I snap, and my voice echoes off the bare walls. It's the oldest story in the book. You got bored. He offered excitement. You took it. She steadies herself, then lifts her chin. And what about you? You've been distant for months, burying yourself in your writing, editing other people's words while ignoring your own life. Did you even notice when I changed my hair color or started wearing new clothes? Did you ever ask how my day was or whether I felt satisfied? You acted like you had everything under control, but you never looked at me anymore. I was invisible. A wave of guilt and fury tangles in my gut. She's not entirely wrong. We'd drifted, but that doesn't justify her crawling into another man's bed. I swallow the impulse to shout. Instead, I speak in a cold, almost prosecutorial tone. That's how you rationalize it. That's your excuse. She averts her eyes, hugging the towel to her chest. I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just telling you my side. My side. My side. The word's great. It's like we're adversaries in a courtroom, presenting evidence. My breath rattles as I turn away. The short, sharp waves of panic from earlier morph into a low-level hum of constant anger. I grab a shirt from the chair, slip it on roughly, ignoring the sting in my neck. Her phone, I notice, is on the nightstand. The screen dark now. The thought that it might ring again, with Jake on the line, makes my blood pressure spike. Get dressed, I say, voice clipped. We're not done. I walk into the hallway, forcing myself to inhale and exhale. My mind flits to that day of the accident. A mild collision, but enough for the airbags to blow. She grabbed my arm, shrieking, my dear, are you okay?" Like a reflex. Yet in the quiet aftershock, I heard the beep of her phone, saw how she glanced at it with a momentary fear, like she expected someone else to call. I push that memory away, or try to. It stays, lodged under my skin. While she gets dressed, I stand in the kitchen, leaning on the counter. Outside, the sun is setting over the Milwaukee skyline, painting the windows in red and orange. My reflection in the glass is drawn, older than I remember. An ache flares in my lower spine, the aftermath of the crash, or maybe the aftermath of betrayal. She emerges a few minutes later, hair combed back, wearing jeans and a loose sweater, a slight tremor in her hands as she smooths the fabric. For a second, something human in me wants to comfort her. Then I remember. She's the reason we're here in the first place. She sets her arms on the counter, across from me. The silence throbs between us. Finally, she speaks. "What do you want from me?" I consider the question. My breathing is still shaky, but I'm trying to maintain composure. "I want to know where we stand. Are you leaving me? Are you staying? Are you going back to him? Because I'm not going to live in this uncertainty." She purses her lips, shrugs. "We haven't decided anything yet." It's not like we made plans for the future. My heart lurches at the mention of we. They have private discussions about their future. I grit my teeth so hard my jaw aches. "So you're just floating between us, seeing which one works out better." She tenses. "Stop twisting my words." Am I? I let out a hoarse laugh, my eyes fixed on her. "You've been feeding him while living here with me, like you're sampling a new car before trading in the old one." Her gaze flashes with anger. "You're the one who let the spark die, John. You're the one who gave up on us. Don't you dare." I snarl, stepping closer. The aggression pulses through my veins. I force my fists to stay at my sides. "I never slept with anyone else. I was still here, in this house, trying to figure out how to talk to you, how to fix things. You think I'd wanted it to be like this?" She flinches, eyes watering, but she stands her ground. "No, I guess not." A tense hush follows. In it, I hear my own heartbeat, the hum of the refrigerator, a car outside rumbling down the street. My entire world has shrunk to the space between us, an invisible chasm that keeps growing. At length, she speaks in a smaller voice. "I'm sorry you found out this way. I'm sorry I lied. I don't have the answers for you right now." I clench my jaw, feeling the old bruise in my chest from the airbag. It's like it's flaring anew. She doesn't have answers. Right, maybe she never intended to. Another wave of fury surges. I wrestle it down. I can't keep screaming at her. It'll just devolve into circles of blame. I need a plan. My plan. A sense of how I'll survive this, even if she won't help me do it. I push past her, heading into the living room. The couch, the rug, the pictures on the mantel. My entire life has revolved around this marriage. Now it feels like a set piece in a play I no longer recognize. She follows, arms folded. I sense she's about to speak again, but I raise a hand. "I don't want to hear any more tonight. If you want to stay here, that's your choice. But I'm telling you, Laura, from this moment on, things aren't the same. You said, it's none of my business. Fine. Then you're not my wife in the same sense you were before. Understand?" She exhales, nods faintly. Her lips tremble like she wants to say something, but she holds it back. I sink into the armchair, feeling the tension coil in my shoulders, the ache radiating down my back. I watch her as she sets her phone on silent and disappears into the hallway, likely heading to the guest room. We don't speak another word that night. The next morning, I wake up on the armchair with a stiff neck, a dull throbbing in my spine. Light spills through the windows. Everything in me is sore, physically, emotionally. I run a hand over my face, feeling stubble scratch my palm. I didn't bother going to bed. I must have dozed off in the early hours, my thoughts spinning around her betrayal. Something inside me cracks. My father once told me that fear is a powerful motivator, but so is pain. And right now, the pain is overshadowing any fear I have of losing her. Instead, it's forging a new resolve. My eyes drift to the hallway where the door to the guest room is shut. She's probably still asleep. Good. I make coffee, ignoring the strain in my shoulders, and sit at the kitchen table with my laptop. I open a blank document. It's time I start writing. Not just editing someone else's story, my story, my pain, my anger. With slow, deliberate keystrokes I begin. Chapter 1. The Car Wreck. I recount the day of the crash. The squeal of brakes, the crunch of metal, the violent thrust of the airbag. And her voice. "Are you okay, my dear?" But behind the words, a sense that she'd called me something she usually saved for him. My fingers move faster now. The memory is raw, fueling each sentence with a potent mix of heartbreak and fury. I write how she looked at her phone right after. The tightness in her expression. The unspoken guilt. A few hours slip away before I realize my coffee's gone cold. My body pulses with a deep ache, but my mind is alight. I close the document, feeling the catharsis of having spelled out some piece of the truth. Then, I hear the guest room door open, her soft steps on the hardwood. She appears in the kitchen doorway, hair disheveled, eyes puffy. "You're up early," she says, voice tentative. I don't reply, just watch her from across the room. I see her glance at my laptop. She can't read the screen from that angle, but suspicion flickers in her gaze. Without a word, I stand, refill my coffee. The tension in my body is almost a living thing, coiled in my gut. I'm not going to fight with her again. Not now. Instead, I let the silence speak for me. She shifts from foot to foot. Eventually, she sighs. "I'll make breakfast." I grunt in acknowledgement. Nothing more. A part of me wants to ask if she's texted Jake, if she's told him about our confrontation. But I don't. She moves around the kitchen, pulling out eggs and bread. The domestic ritual feels absurdly normal considering the hurricane inside my chest. As she cracks eggs into a bowl, I notice the ring on her finger. Our wedding band. She still wears it. The sight rakes my nerves. But I say nothing. I just turn away, stepping into the living room, phone in hand. I fire off a few messages to colleagues at the publisher, letting them know I'll work from home today. My boss respects me enough to give me space. When I return, there's a plate of scrambled eggs and toast on the table. She sits opposite, sipping orange juice. I sink down in the chair, wincing at the twinge in my back. We eat in silence. Despite everything, I'm hungry. And the eggs are good, lightly salted, the way I like them. But the bitterness in my heart makes every bite taste like sawdust. "John," she begins after a while. "I have to go into work soon. We have a campaign launch next week." I nod, not looking up. "Go," I say more harshly than I intend. "You do what you need to do." She flinches, then sets her fork down. "I'm sorry," she whispers, voice trembling. I don't respond. I'm not ready to accept her apology, if it even is one. She hesitates like she wants to say more, but I remain silent, swirling the eggs around my plate. Eventually, she collects her things and leaves. The door closes behind her with a soft thud. I exhale sharply, pressing my hands to my temples. My stomach twists, the dull ache in my chest intensifying. I flip open my laptop again. Another page, more words. I channel my rage into the text. If I can't scream, I'll write. Maybe that's how I'll keep my sanity. In the following weeks, we live under the same roof but in separate worlds. She comes home late. If she tries to speak, I answer in monosyllables. I'm not ready to talk. The anger hasn't diminished, only settled into a colder, more calculated form. My injuries from the crash still bother me. Headaches, twinges in my back that cause my posture to stiffen. I see a doctor once. He prescribes mild painkillers and physical therapy. I skip most sessions. The pain, in a twisted way, fuels my writing, reminds me of what I'm fighting through. At night, I fill pages of my new manuscript, scribbling notes about a woman who slowly, methodically drains her husband's will while secretly nurturing another man. I write about the husband who sees, who knows, but keeps quiet, letting the tension coil around his heart. The words flow too easily, as if my subconscious has been drafting this story for months. One evening, she finds the rough pages scattered across my desk. I'm in the kitchen, washing up, when I hear the rustle of paper, her sharp intake of breath. Then, what is this? I lean in the doorway, crossing my arms. A draft. She flips through the pages, face paling. You wrote about me. About us. It's fiction, I reply icily. But if you see something familiar, maybe that says more about you than me. Her hands shake. She reads a line. She murmured the other man's name in her sleep, while her husband lay awake, silent and alone. I can see her chest rising and falling. She meets my eyes, fear etched in her features. You knew, she breathes. I suspected, I correct. Now I know. She sets the manuscript down, eyes brimming with alarm. But what terrifies her isn't that I discovered her secret. It's that I understand how it all happened, how she rationalized her own behavior, how she spun her story to friends, neighbors, so no one saw her as the villain. And I'm writing it all down. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. I hold her gaze, letting my controlled fury flow through the silence. Finally, she backs away from the desk, as if the pages themselves might burn her. You can't show this to anyone, she says, voice quivering. Please, John. It'll ruin me. Should have thought about that before, I mutter, stepping around her to gather the pages. I can't help the satisfaction that hums in my veins at her panic. But don't worry. It's not finished yet. She stares at me, a mixture of guilt and desperation. Don't do this. I don't respond. Instead, I walk out of the room, pages clutched in my hand, my heart pounding. In that moment, the dynamic shifts. I'm no longer the clueless husband. I'm the author of her downfall if I choose to be. It's a cruel power, but it's mine. A few nights later, I start dropping hints to friends, neighbors, even a few mutual acquaintances. Nothing blatant, just small insinuations. Have you noticed how Laura looks at me like I'm the one intruding in my own home? Or, strange how she always says I'm smothering her, yet she's the one who stays out until midnight. My remarks float through our social circle like dust in a drafty room. Before long, people start glancing at her with new eyes, suspecting the cracks in her carefully curated image. I do it not out of pettiness alone, but because I'm done protecting her narrative. She wanted secrecy. She demanded I stay out of her business. Now the question arises in hushed tones. Maybe she's the one chasing after someone else. Maybe John's the one who's been used all this time. One afternoon, I run into our neighbors, a retired couple who always wave when I'm out for a jog. The wife murmurs sympathetically, "We heard you two might be having a rough patch. Is everything okay?" I shrug, offering a sad smile. She tells people I'm following her around, but maybe it's the other way around. You know how rumors start. And with that, I plant the seed. Let it grow. Word spreads. My father, from whom I've always kept emotional distance, calls me. "What's going on, son? I heard some talk from your mother. Something about Laura, messing around." His voice is cautious, uncertain how to approach. I grip the phone, forcing calm. "There's a lot going on, Dad. I'm handling it. But thanks for checking in." He exhales. "You know we're here if you need anything." The conversation ends. I set the phone down, a swirl of emotions churning inside. Family. Friends. Everyone's starting to see behind the curtain. Laura tries to counter it. She tells them I'm paranoid, that I've been controlling. But suspicion once seated is hard to uproot. And in her uncertain eyes, I see that she knows she's losing the narrative. One evening, I come home to find her sitting on the couch, eyes red, a suitcase by her side. My pulse quickens, an odd mixture of relief and anger. She's leaving. She looks up at me, wiping her nose. "I can't stay here, John. It's like living under a microscope. You're turning everyone against me." I meet her gaze, trying to muster some empathy and failing. "I'm just speaking my truth." She gestures to the suitcase. "I'll go stay with a friend for a while. Let things cool off." "And Jake?" I ask, voice tight. "You moving in with him?" Her expression crumples. "No. I don't know. We haven't. He's traveling. Consulting in New York. He doesn't even know what's going on here. A bitter laugh escapes me. He'll find out soon enough. She nods, face grim. Then, in a shaky voice, you used to love me. I stare back, heart pounding in my chest. Without another word, she heads for the door. It closes softly behind her. And then, she's gone. I stand there in the living room, letting the quiet settle over me. The echo of that final click reverberates, final and strange. My breath comes in ragged bursts. The house feels simultaneously huge and claustrophobic. I never thought I'd see the day she walked out with a suitcase under her arm, not even to stay with me or to go to him, but somewhere else entirely. We're truly in limbo now. I realize something in that moment. Fear is gone. The dread of losing her, the anxiety of confrontation. She took all that weight with her when she left. It's almost a relief, if not for the searing heartbreak right beneath my ribs. I shut my eyes, letting the sting wash over me. I feel the bruise on my chest again, the seatbelt's imprint, the twinge in my neck. Like each physical ache is a reminder that I'm still here, still alive, still capable of feeling. Days bleed into each other. I bury myself in the manuscript, rewriting scenes, refining characters. My phone sits idle on the table. No calls from Laura. A text or two from curious acquaintances, but I only respond politely. I'm consumed by the writing, driven by the rage that's turning colder, sharper, forging itself into a weapon. Each chapter is a new wound laid open. Sometimes I'll go into the bedroom and just stare at the bed we once shared, trying to conjure the sense of her presence. A ghost, a memory. My back throbs less these days. I almost miss the pain, because it reminded me of the crash, of that final moment when I realized she was calling someone else's name in her head. I finished the first draft on a Saturday night. The exhaustion hits me like a freight train as I type the last sentence. I sit back, reading over the words with trembling hands. The story is about a man who clings to illusions until they shatter, who transforms betrayal into a kind of personal power. The final pages hold a stark truth. Once you lose everything you thought was vital, you become fearless. And in fearlessness, there's a dangerous clarity. I close the file, exhaling. My phone buzzes, snapping me from my thoughts. I pick it up. It's a message from Laura. Need to talk. Please. A surge of adrenaline stiffens my muscles. I tap out a reply. We have nothing to discuss. She responds almost instantly. Jake came by. Wants to confront you. He's furious about the rumors. I'm worried. Please be careful. My lips curl in a bitter smile. So the lover is upset that I'm not playing the docile, clueless husband. Interesting. I type back. He's welcome to find me if he wants. I set the phone aside, ignoring the racing of my heart. There's a savage thrill in imagining Jake's reaction when the truth circulates. He might blame me for tarnishing Laura's reputation. Let him blame me. I'm past caring. 2 days later, I'm in the living room, reading over my draft, when there's a sharp rap at the door. I set the pages down, blood spiking in my veins. My phone vibrates with a text, likely Laura, trying to warn me. But I ignore it. The knock comes again, more insistent. I open the door. There he is, Jake S. I recognize him from that day outside her office building. Taller than I recall, with broad shoulders, a confident stance. But now there's a hardness in his dark eyes, a tension in the set of his jaw. You John Davis? He asks bluntly, voice deeper than I remember. I fold my arms. Yeah, and you must be Jake. Come to talk about your fling with my wife. His nostrils flare. I don't appreciate you dragging my name through the mud. Laura's dealing with fallout at work. People whisper behind her back. You had no right. I arch a brow. No right? She was my wife. You slept with a married woman. I think I've got every right to set the record straight. He exhales sharply, stepping closer. The tension radiates off him in waves. Look, man, I didn't come here to fight. But you can't keep doing this. Whatever's between you and Laura, that's your business. Don't pin me as the villain. I let out a mirthless laugh. Oh, you're not the villain, Jake. Sneaking around with her, fueling her lies. You think you're innocent. He glances away. What happened between us? That's between me and her. You were obviously not making her happy. My fists tighten at my sides, heart pounding. The nerve of him. My entire body bristles with anger. Careful, I say softly, the threat implicit in my tone. A sudden wave of aggression surges up my spine. But I hold it in check. I'm not going to brawl him in my doorway. I have too much self-control, or maybe just too much pride. He snorts, folding his arms across his chest. You're hurting her more now, humiliating her in front of everyone. If you cared about her at all, you'd stop. Maybe I don't care about her feelings anymore. I snap, stepping forward so we're mere inches apart. Maybe she should have considered that before sneaking around behind my back. Jake's eyes blaze. For a second, I think he's going to swing at me, but he doesn't. He shifts his weight. Fine, you do what you want, but if you keep harassing her, I'll step in. Harassing her. My laugh is hollow, echoing through the hallway. She slept with you. She lied to me. If you think I'm going to roll over and let her paint me as the jealous, controlling husband, you're mistaken. His mouth twists. Then we're done here. Looks like it, I say, refusing to break eye contact. He turns on his heel, takes a few steps, then stops. Without looking back, he says, "She's in pain, man. More than you know." Good, I reply, letting the single word hang in the air. He leaves, the front door slamming behind him. I stand there, blood roaring in my ears, feeling the old ache flare in my neck. My heart hammers, but I force down the adrenaline, breathing slowly. The conversation was short, tense, a stark reflection of how low this has all sunk. Even so, I'm not sorry for a second of it. I grab my phone, see a missed text from Laura. He's on his way. Don't do anything stupid. Too late. The confrontation happened. We both walked away unscathed, physically, at least. But something in me feels vindicated. He can see now that I'm not some passive doormat, that I'm capable of pushing back. In the days that follow, I finalize my manuscript. The story is savage, honest, a reflection of the darkest corners of my psyche. I show it to a close friend in the publishing house. Get feedback. They're intrigued, praising its rawness. They want me to consider a formal submission. The idea churns my stomach with both excitement and dread. Meanwhile, rumors keep swirling in our social circles. Laura's mother calls me, voice quivering. "John, honey, I don't know what's happening, but Laura's so upset. Is there any way you two can reconcile?" I close my eyes, massaging the bridge of my nose. We're past that point, I think. She sighs, and I can almost see her shaking her head. Such a shame. Yes, it is a shame, and yet I feel more alive than I have in years, fueled by the clarity that only heartbreak can bring. My pain is forging a new path. That path leads me away from Laura, from illusions of a perfect marriage. One afternoon, Laura calls me directly. I let it go to voicemail, then listen. "John, it's me. I need to pick up more of my things. Please don't be there if you can help it. I can't stand another scene. I'm sorry for everything. I really am. But I need to move on. And so do you." Her voice breaks at the end. I replay it once, arms folded, face set. Then I delete the message. That's it. She wants to slip in like a thief, gather her possessions, vanish again. Fine. I have no desire to see her. I pack a few boxes for her, her clothes, her keepsakes, and leave them in the garage with a note on top. "Take what you need. Lock up after." That evening, I go for a walk around the neighborhood, ignoring the dull ache in my back. The sidewalk is quiet. Streetlights hum. A few neighbors glance at me from behind curtains, but no one steps out to say hello. The tension in the air is almost tangible. They've heard the rumors, the half-truths, maybe read between the lines. Let them think what they want. I pass by an intersection, a small crossroads with a stoplight. For a split second, I recall the crash. The squeal of tires, the impact. The memory tugs at my chest. She was there. She panicked, screamed, "My dear, are you okay?" But that phrase is forever tainted. I push forward, crossing against the light, not caring if a car might come. A spark of recklessness flickers inside me. My fear is gone, replaced by a grim acceptance that I've already lost the most important thing I had. So what is there to be afraid of? A few days later, I sense the house is truly empty of her presence. Her favorite mug is gone. Her clothes, the pictures of us together. She left the wedding album, though, tucked away in a corner of the closet. I flip through it briefly. Pictures of us younger, happier. My eyes burn, but I don't shed tears. I close it and push it aside. Now that I'm alone, the tension in my body starts to recede, replaced by a heavy emptiness. My nights are sleepless, spent pacing the floors. My writing is done for now, so I have no distraction. The phone stays silent. I dream of the day I signed our marriage certificate, of how proud I felt, how unstoppable we seemed. Then I wake up drenched in sweat, the realization that it's all gone, leaving me hollow. Time passes. I finalize the manuscript. My boss at the publishing house glances at it, raises an eyebrow, mutters something about raw emotion. They want me to refine a few sections, but they think it could sell. I can't help the grim satisfaction that, out of my pain, something valuable might emerge. A neighbor corners me in the driveway one morning, starts asking pointed questions. "Where's Laura? Are you two separated?" I just shrug. She's gone. They press for details, but I deflect with the same cold stoicism I've learned to cultivate. Let them gossip. My heartbreak is my own. My revenge, too. Finally, the day comes that I run into Laura again, unexpectedly, at a local cafe. I step inside to grab a coffee on my way to the office, and there she is, seated at a corner table, flipping through her phone. When she sees me, her eyes widen. She opens her mouth as if to speak, but I hold up a hand in a silent gesture to wait. I order a coffee, my heart hammering, then approach her table. She's changed. Her hair is shorter, dyed a warmer shade. She's wearing a new blouse, something with a subtle flair. She looks anxious, fiddling with a ring on her hand. A different ring, not our wedding band. "John," she says softly, swallowing. "Hi." I nod, lips pressed tight. "Didn't expect to see you here." She shifts. "Me neither. How are you?" I consider lying. Then I opt for the truth, or at least a version of it. "Healing." I see relief flicker in her gaze. "That's good," she says, voice trembling. I'm sorry." I raise an eyebrow. She sets her phone aside, inhaling. "For everything. Cheating. Lying. Hurting you. I know I can't fix it, but you deserve an apology." I stand there, my chest tight, the coffee warming my hand. I recall the pain in my back, the crash, the sense of betrayal, the nights spent writing, fueling my anger. My father's phone call, Jake's arrogance at my door, the swirl of neighbors' whispers, and I realize something fundamental. She no longer holds the same power over me. "Thank you." I manage, voice low. I take a seat, though I remain on edge. She touches the rim of her cup, not meeting my eyes. I've been staying with my sister, trying to piece my life together. I nod. Silence lingers. The bustling cafe forms a background hum of voices, frothing milk, distant laughter. Finally, she musters the courage to look at me. "Do you hate me?" I consider. There was a time I might have said yes without hesitation, but now, the feeling is more complicated. "No," I say quietly. But I don't love you either. Not anymore. She closes her eyes, as if bracing for that blow. I understand. The hush between us is thick with old memories, regrets, and the faint echo of what might have been. I stare at the table, letting the tension simmer. She stirs her coffee absent-mindedly. My physical aches remain, slight twinges, reminders of the damage done. But emotionally, a numb clarity has set in. Finally, I break the silence. We should talk about divorce. She nods. Yes, she whispers, almost inaudible. We should. I rub a hand over my face, feeling the bristle of my stubble. I'll have my lawyer contact you. Her voice breaks. Okay, if that's what you want, I'll cooperate. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I glance at it. An email from my publishing colleague, probably about the final draft. I slide it away, looking back at Laura. We share a moment of eye contact that holds the faintest trace of old intimacy, like the memory of an embrace now long gone. Then I stand, leaving my untouched coffee on the table. Take care, Laura, I say, letting each word fall carefully. I see moisture gather in her eyes, but she blinks it away, nodding. I turn and walk out. My steps are slow, deliberate, and with each stride, I feel the last vestiges of fear dissolve, replaced by a resolute certainty. We're finished. That night, I sit alone in the living room, a single lamp illuminating the typed pages spread across the coffee table. The final draft of my manuscript. The story is done. I wrote it for myself, to exorcise the betrayal. But the voice in my head says it's bigger than me now, something others might read, might see themselves in. There's comfort in that, knowing I'm not alone in this experience. Betrayal is ancient, universal. I run my fingers over the final page. In the story, the husband loses everything, his illusions, his trust, his marriage, but finds a brutal freedom in that loss. I realize that's me. Stripped, battered, but strangely liberated. My phone pings, an email notification from the publisher. I sip a tumbler of whiskey, letting the amber liquid burn down my throat. My body is still stiff from the accident. Certain movements remind me of that collision. But the fear is gone. The question mark that haunted me, what if she's lying to me, has been replaced by a cold, undeniable truth. And truth, as painful as it is, sets me free. I set the glass aside and stare into the shadows. The memory of her voice from the crash echoes in my head. My dear, are you okay? But in the silence of my empty house, I realize it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just an echo, a faint imprint of a life that's no longer mine. The final words of my manuscript come to mind. I whisper them under my breath, voice low and steady. When you lose what you thought was everything, there is no fear left, only clarity. And in that clarity, I am alone. And somehow, that no longer feels like the end of the world. The house remains quiet, the emptiness stretching around me. I take another sip of whiskey, close my eyes, and let the hush wrap around me like a second skin. I survived the crash. I survived her. And now I'm stronger, in the quiet aftermath, than I ever was before.